Welcome to Bump Set Chat, the podcast where volleyball professionals come on and share their stories, experiences, and advice. And today, Spyros Chakas, University of Hawaii men's volleyball team. Welcome to Bump Set Chat, a podcast for volleyball professional coaches and players to come and share their stories, experiences, and advice. And today I'm super excited. I have Spyros Chakas from the University of Hawaii. Welcome.
Aloha. Thank you for having me.
So the way we start off the podcast, we start off with 3 random questions. So are you ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. What's your favorite thing to cook? Because I hear you're a cook.
I try. My favorite thing to cook, I would say, is carbonara, the Italian dish with pasta. I think that's my go-to.
All right, excellent. Okay, so when you go back home to Greece, what is that one meal you look forward to the most?
Whatever my mom is cooking.
Yeah.
I'm away from her for 9 months, so whenever I go back home and I get the chance to eat her food, it's amazing. But she makes one dish, the Greek dish that's called pasticcio.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty much like lasagna,
nice.
but the Greek version of lasagna. It's the best food that I eat every summer when I go back home.
Excellent. All right. And final question, being in Hawaii, you guys go on long road trips. What are your, what's the best thing about a road trip?
Best thing about road trips, I think, is coming together with the team. You get a chance to bond with the team more.
Yeah.
Because when we're on the road, we're all in the same hotel. We go to each other's rooms, just play video games, chat. So it's a good opportunity for team bonding for sure.
Nice. And what video games are you guys playing?
We usually play FIFA and 2K. These are the two most video games we play the most. And then some guys play Super Smash Bros. Too.
Yeah.
But I'm a FIFA and 2K guy.
All right, there we go. All right, so welcome to the pod. First of all, congratulations on, National Player of the Week and Big West Player of the Week. That's pretty cool.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, so how's the season going so far?
It's going good. It's my last season in Hawaii. It's a season that I was looking forward to since I was, a very young 17-year-old coming to Hawaii. I was always looking forward to that senior season. It's finally here. I'm just trying to enjoy it as much as I can, realizing that every game in my stand is essentially my last one.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to, take all the emotions in, bond with my teammates, and just try to create as positive of an atmosphere as I can in the team. So it's going great. I'm enjoying it. The team is developing, with a relatively new team.
Yeah.
Lots of starters that we lost from last year, but we're doing a great job of, people stepping up.
Yeah.
And just creating the team chemistry.
Excellent. All right. So I sort of hinted at where you're from. So you're from Greece, and what are you studying right now?
I'm majoring in psychology.
Okay. Back in Greece, where does volleyball rank into the world of, how does it compare, or what other sports do you guys play over there? And then, sort of what made you, get into volleyball?
Yeah. In Greece, the top sport would be soccer or football. And then basketball is right after that. And then it's a little bit weird because these two sports are very big. Basketball and soccer are very big, and then the rest of the sports are just kind of in the category where they're kind of big, but not as big as football and soccer.
Yeah.
They don't get as much attention and money and sponsors and whatnot. So after that would be either water polo or volleyball.
Okay.
So it's somewhere or in the 3rd or 4th place for sports.
Yeah.
I grew up playing all kinds of sports. I grew up playing soccer when I was young. After that, I played basketball for 5-6 years. But my dad used to play volleyball. So ever since I was really young, like 2 or 3 years old, he would just take me with him in the court. So I was always around volleyball. And then after I did my circle around other sports, I ultimately chose to, join my volleyball team back home where I played for 8 years.
Yeah.
And I stayed there and fell in love with volleyball.
And now, what is the hook volleyball has that, just you love it so much versus going down the soccer route or basketball? What is it about volleyball?
For me, I couldn't see myself playing a sport that has as much physical contact as basketball or soccer or even cardio if you play soccer. I just think that volleyball is a sport where you have the absolute control in what you're doing, and you just need to get really good at that. It's not a sport where, in basketball, you can spend time alone in the gym
Hmm.
practicing free throws or just shooting. But in volleyball, you kind of always need to have someone to help you practice. So
Yeah.
that also, boosts the whole team spirit and team bonding thing.
Yeah.
So I think these are some aspects that I enjoy, just getting to be with other players and trying to get really, really good at what I can control.
Yeah. And now, speaking of the hook of volleyball, so now which do you enjoy more? Getting that big roof block one-on-one against somebody, or, that huge kill out at the pole, or coming out of the back, flying out of the back row? Which is your like, yes, which is your favorite moment?
I would say the first one would be getting a kill out of the beak.
Yeah.
Uh, and then close second is getting a roof block one-on-one because I don't do it that often. But when you do it, it's a great feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. And now, just jumping back to sort of volleyball back home, here in I'm from Canada, and here in the States as well, kids are playing sports in school through high school. What is the sort of how is the sports relation over there back home with you guys? Is there like school sports like we have here, or is it like you have club and that's where everyone sort of plays their
Yeah.
sports?
So basically, there is both club volleyball and school volleyball, but the one that really matters and gets the most attention is club volleyball. So the way it works is that there's U17, U19, U21 teams, and
Yeah.
then men teams that are the same pro clubs. And basically, it's different than the US because in the US, they play tournaments. They do these huge tournaments in one place every weekend or every other weekend. Back home, it's an actual league. So we have a league of a conference actually of some teams that we play in this conference. We play each other twice, 2 rounds of the championship every weekend. And then we have a final four, and then the winners of that would go to the final four of the whole country.
Oh, okay.
So it was a pretty serious deal, to play in these leagues growing up. And then the school system, the way it worked was that pretty much it was a round robin. Everyone would play everyone like one time,
Yeah.
and you would eventually get to the final four, which would be schools from Greece and Cyprus competing against each other. But it wasn't as much of a big deal as the club
Yeah.
club leagues.
Okay. And then back home, I read that you also played for your junior national team as well. How was that experience?
Yeah, the first time that I got selected for the junior national team was when I was around 14, I think. It was also different age groups.
Hmm.
So the U17 team was the first one, or U15 was the first one, sorry. And then I played 2 European Championships, one with the U17 and one with the U20 team. And then a bunch of qualifications for European Championships, Balkan Championships. So lots of games,
Yeah.
lots of friends that I made from that era. With one of them being Dimi,
Yeah.
that I met when we were 14 years old.
Oh, wow.
Just and many other guys that I'm still really good friends with that I've known since we were little kids.
Yeah. Now, Dimi is back. He's a fellow Greek that came to Hawaii with you. Now, is he back in Europe playing?
Yeah, he's playing professionally in Germany.
So now, let's talk about Hawaii. How did you end up? How does a kid from Greece end up halfway around the world and, selecting Hawaii to go play volleyball at?
Yeah, for me, I didn't know much about it growing up. So playing volleyball, my plan originally was to play volleyball until I was going to be out of high school and then try to go to a university in Greece and try to balance school and volleyball at the same time. But the thing with Greece is that, and many European countries, is that their system is not built for athletes that want to be students.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't get the whole support for being a student athlete. You don't get the resources. It's just the university's on its own, and the club team that you play for is completely on its own. So there's not something that's connected. So when I started to think that I want to get a degree at some point because sports are not forever, I just started looking into different options, and then that's where Dimi came in. He had just started his recruiting process for Hawaii. And just remember, we were at the junior national team camp. I think it was around 2017. And I just saw him studying English, and I was like, "Oh, what is that? What are you doing?" He's like, "Oh, I'm probably going to Hawaii." And I said, "Okay, tell me more about that." And he just started explaining, the whole process about getting recruited, talking to
Mm-hmm.
coaches. And then his dad, who was my junior national team coach, Coach Nikos, really, really helped me with that process. He got me in contact with Milan Zarkovic, our assistant coach, and Charlie Wade. So initially, Hawaii was my first goal. As soon as I started my recruiting process, I said that when I get an offer from Hawaii, I'm going there. I talked to a lot of schools. I had other offers, but then as soon as Coach Charlie Wade came over to Greece,
Oh,
to
wow.
Athens, he does that with a lot of his players that he
Yeah.
wants to recruit. He goes over to their countries. So he came over, talking to my family, and for me that was a deal breaker. Just made after that I committed to Hawaii.
Oh, excellent. And now, so you didn't come to Hawaii beforehand to check out the island or the schools. It was
No,
like when you're ready to go,
it's
you showed
my
up.
yeah, it's my first time ever in the United States, and it was also during COVID, so it
Oh
was
my God.
pretty chaotic time.
Yeah.
Having to get a visa, having to go through all the quarantine processes here in Hawaii was pretty crazy.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it was a ride.
Holy cow. And now, what was sort of I guess the biggest adjustment for you from, from Greek to Hawaii? The temperatures are probably similar.
Yeah, the weather was pretty similar. I mean, because Hawaii doesn't have seasons.
Yeah.
It's pretty much not summer all the time, but it's hot, and then in the winter it just rains more. I just had to get adjusted to that, being warm all the time,
Yeah.
and very, very humid. Also, just being away from family and friends that, I'd left behind after so
Mm-hmm.
many years of being in Greece. And then the food too, but that was something that I got used to pretty quick.
Yeah. What was that first year of volleyball like as a freshman for you? Was there a big adjustment to the level of play from the club playing back home?
It was an interesting year. The level, not so much because I always when I was growing up, since I was like 15, I used to play with older people
Yeah.
in older teams. So when I was 15, I would play for the men's team of my club, and I would have teammates that were 35 years old. But in the very small leagues of Greece, like unprofessional leagues, the fourth league, third league of Greece, playing there. And then when I came here, it was just we had a really good class of players in Rado Parapunov, Colton Cowell, Gage Worsley, Pat Gassman, and all of these guys that were just insane players. And it was always like since I started watching Hawaii volleyball, it was them that I was watching. So getting to play with them was a really, really cool experience. I got to, learn a lot from them. I actually started the first couple of games of my freshman year, which was very, unusual
Mm-hmm.
for a freshman. And it was me and Chaz battling it out for that OH2 position. Then the biggest adjustment that I had to make volleyball wise was kind of the stats.
Yeah.
I realized the stats really matter here in America very early on. Not in a bad way, just coaches like to look at the stats.
Yeah.
Stats are counted different than in Europe. For example, in Europe, if you make a mistake when you hit, it doesn't go towards your hitting percentage. It
Oh,
just
okay.
counts as a mistake. So, I had to get a little bit through that process of getting it out of my mind, not thinking about it.
Yeah.
But I think that as soon as I got that part done, it made me more comfortable
Yeah.
leading into my second season. And of course, we won the championship in my first season, which was a very
Amazing.
special moment. Yeah, as a freshman, just going from a kid that had no idea about what was going on here to winning a national championship at the end of the year as a serving sub was pretty amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, were there a lot of other international players on the team as well, or sort of, was really just you?
That year it was me, Rado Parapunov from Bulgaria, and if I'm not wrong, that was it. I
Yeah.
might be forgetting someone, but I don't think so. Dimi was out because he was injured, so he wasn't back in Hawaii that year. He had surgery, so he didn't come back. But I think it was just me and Rado.
Yeah. So was there a lot of adjustments, or were you glad to have somebody else from, from Europe there to sort of like, yeah, sort of get through this together?
Yeah, it was good. We also have our assistant coach Milan Zarkovic, who is from Serbia,
Oh, okay.
but he also speaks fluent Greek. because he coached in Cyprus for
Oh,
about
nice.
15 years, and then his blood is actually Greek, like his great grandma and grandma are from Greece. So he's the person that kind of kept me sane,
Yeah,
talking to me in Greek, just pretty much like a father figure to me
nice.
here. So that was and still is really important, to have him here.
Yeah. And I think Kupono, your coach, he played in Greece too, right? How's his Greek?
His Greek is all right. He knows the basic. It was funny because I think it was after my sophomore year. It was the first time that I met him, and then he was asking me all about Greece. Going back to play in Greece. And then the year after that, or last year, we found out that he was going to be our assistant coach. So I already knew him, and we had talked a bunch. So it was cool to see him in that different position.
Yeah, excellent. Over the last 4 years you've been there, what are some of the highlights for you at UH?
Oh, lots of highlights. I guess if I have to take it in like chronological order, first one would be the championship that we won in 21, the first national championship that the team. It was and it was a goal of the older guys. All the seniors had came back after COVID, and their only one and only goal was to win the national championship.
Yeah.
So just seeing their dedication was a really good input for the years that would follow. Of course, the year after that, we lost this whole senior class, big senior class,
Yeah.
and we had to prove ourselves, going as a new team, figuring things out, and ending up winning another national championship. That was also amazing. Kind of a validation
Yeah.
of our hard work and our talents. Also, last year, just the whole journey with that senior class that we had, Jakob, Dimi, Philip, just a bunch of amazing guys that, we got all the way to the end,
Yeah.
didn't manage to win it, but still, it was a unforgettable season with many highlights and just great times.
Nice.
And then I can focus on more things like the Big West Championships and all that, but they're included
Yeah.
in that.
All right. You just talked about, losing a lot of all the seniors that left last year. Was it now that the torch got passed on to you and there was fewer seniors, how did you guys adapt to that? Was it a tough thing to sort of take all these, players and keep them focused?
I don't think it was that tough, from the sense that it was a smooth transition. It's not that we lost a bunch of guys and then it was all young guys.
Yeah.
Throughout these years, we were losing guys, but we still had guys that were older in age and had been in the program for a while. So I think that when the time came for me, Chaz, Guillermo, Alakai, and other guys to step up as leaders,
Yeah.
we were kind of ready.
Oh, good.
We always had that mentality. I feel that um, the thing that this program does really well is to develop, that leader character and personality. So whenever you're asked to, step up as a leader, you're
Yeah.
kind of ready
All
to
right.
do so.
If there's some 17-year-old kid back home or over in other countries in Europe thinking about coming to the U.S., coming to Hawaii to play volleyball, what kind of advice would you have for them?
Yeah, it's a process. I don't think that it can work for everyone, but I think that as long as you're sure that you want it, you can make it work. It takes a lot of work. For me, I had to do all of this stuff on my own. I didn't have much people helping me. I had to go through the exams, through the application processes, through the translations and everything
Yeah.
on my own. If I could change one thing is that, I would have asked for more help, to, kind of get help with all these processes because they can be quite chaotic.
Yeah.
And then just know that, there will be, once you get here, there will be many good times, but there will also be many bad times, or hard times. But you just kind of, the good thing or bad thing at the same time is that you're on yourself.
Yeah.
You're by yourself somewhere very far, no matter if it's Hawaii or California or any other place. You're very far away from what you know, but you just learn how to deal with situations that, might be uncomfortable or just hard.
Yeah.
So it's a lesson and a grind, but in the end, it's worth it.
All right. That freshman year you came over, with men's volleyball starting not till January, at least you had some time to sort of get used to everything before jumping straight into volleyball. But during that window, were you able to scrimmage with the guys or get some volleyball touches in?
That was a very interesting year. I haven't deleted from my memory. It's just so different
Yeah.
than anything else that we've done. I remember we came here. Of course, it was announced that we're not going to practice until indefinitely. We didn't know
Yeah.
when we were going to practice. So, we started having these meetings with the team and then speculations, we're going to practice then, we're going to practice then. Nothing happened. And I think eventually after 3 months, around November or December, we started lifting.
Yeah.
Just being able to lift, masks on and everything. No volleyball whatsoever.
Wow.
And then I think around the end of November or December, early December, we started going into the gym. We were practicing with masks, which was very interesting. It was just fun, because we didn't know, we weren't sure what was going on, like
Yeah.
at all times. We get tested every day to be sure that we had no cases. I just remember people talking about putting like a barrier between the nets so we wouldn't have contact, but it was
Oh
just
my God.
chaos,
Yeah.
honestly. And then we only practiced for what, maybe a month. And then we had to go straight into season. No
Yep.
preseason games, no
Oh
nothing.
wow.
Just straight into Big West play. Um, and our first series was an away trip. It was Irvine and San Diego. Yeah, it's more testing, more strict testing now that we started to travel
Right.
with the team. Being at the hotel, we couldn't leave our rooms.
Yeah.
We have all our dinners and lunch delivered to us, and yeah, it was interesting times.
Yeah.
It wasn't bad because we were lucky enough to
Right.
still be able to travel, play volleyball, and do what we love.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it was just different conditions
Yeah.
than we were used to.
Yeah. And now you look at this past year, when Kupono had been on the pod and he was telling about you guys were going to Japan for the sort of like an exhibition. So you talk about night and day. Here you guys are now flying to Japan. What was that experience like?
Wow, that was an amazing experience. I'm just very grateful for having the chance to be able to go to such places. Whether it's Japan or just any other place that we're able to travel with the team.
Yeah.
I really like traveling, so anytime I get to see a new place, I'm really really excited. But going to Japan was on my bucket list for a long time,
Yeah.
for sure. So I was extremely happy and excited to be going there. And once we did it, I think that it actually met all my expectations.
Yeah.
It was a whole new world for me, a whole new culture that I really, really liked. People were amazing, very welcoming. The volleyball culture was also amazing.
Mm-hmm.
We played all these teams that you could see that they're very well structured, very well organized. Um, Everything was really clean.
Yeah.
So I think it was just good to see, a different culture, both in like the actual culture and
Mm-hmm.
the volleyball
Yeah.
world in that sense.
And now, what was the volleyball level like? Did you guys play a club team, or did they have like school teams?
They have their championship, they have their league, which is actually a pretty good league.
Mm-hmm.
The level there is pretty good. Players might be shorter
Yeah.
usually, but they're really, really good at other aspects of like
Yeah.
defense and just the ball never hits the floor, man. It's just constant playing and nonstop. So we played this pro team that our teammate Cole Hoagland now plays for. He was our middle for the two national championships, and now he plays for the Sakai Blazers. So we played them. They were a really good team. They had a foreign guy from Canada, Sharon
Yeah.
Evans. He plays there. So it was great level. And then we went to play their defending national champions, excuse me, for the university level, college level. So we played that team as well at Tsukuba University.
Mm-hmm.
And their level there was great too. Like more physical and just taller players too. They had some players that were 6'9", 7 foot tall.
Oh wow.
So it was a great game. We ended up winning in 5
Yeah.
in that one.
Nice. When the season starts, what is that first practice of the year like? Have you guys, because you're sort of a January, season from a sporting standpoint, so you've probably met most of the guys on the team, the freshmen and whatnot. Well, so what is that? What do you guys do from a bonding standpoint? I guess the trip to Japan was huge.
That was definitely a big one that helped us, get to know each other more and connect. But for us, we're kind of fortunate in the sense that we have the whole fall semester without games.
Yeah.
So all we do is just be in the practice gym every day, lift weights every other day, and just get to be with each other so much. But we don't really have to do much outside of the court because when we see each other so much on the court, we get to know one another's, habits and what each other likes.
Yeah.
So I think that's a really big part that, we get to spend this whole fall semester in the gym practicing and being locked in. And then when season comes around in January, we already know each other.
Yeah.
But yeah, for team bonding activities, we're very fortunate to be able to go to the beach whenever we want.
Yeah.
Just 10-minute drive from where we all live. Go out to get, food, go to events. So yeah, lots of things to do here.
Nice. Have they converted you to playing some beach yet? No.
Nah, no. I have a love-hate relationship with beach volleyball. Growing up, I never really used to play like that. Maybe I would play once or twice every summer just for fun.
Yeah.
But I was just never great at it because, transitioning from indoor to beach is
Hmm.
really hard for me.
Yeah.
Um, I guess that if I sat down and practiced for a while, I'd be okay
Yeah.
at it. But I've never dedicated myself to doing
No.
this, and I'm not planning to anytime soon.
No, it's a lot of
Um,
work to get out of that sand.
yeah, and so in Hawaii, I probably played beach like 3 or 4 times in
Yeah.
my 4 years here. But when I do, it's fun.
Nice. So now at UH, do you guys have any traditions over the course of the year, the season that sort of is unique to Hawaii?
I mean, with the team
Yeah,
or
with the team.
events or I would say the one special thing that we do before every game is the haka
Hmm.
dance. You've probably seen the haka
Yep.
dance that the Maori do in New Zealand. We have a alternative version of that applied to our team and in Hawaii.
Yep.
So it's like a pre-game ritual that we do in the locker room. There's videos of it
Yeah.
out. So it's an activity or a pre-game ritual, to kind of get us hyped and locked
Yeah.
in for the game. So that is one thing that I enjoy. It's kind of like traditional to
Yeah.
us.
Nice. And now, speaking of the team, who's the joker on the team? Is there one guy that, it's like, there's a tense moment and this guy's just can, make everybody crack up and laugh. Who's the joker on your team?
Yeah, we have a couple of guys that have this ability, which I think is pretty good. But I would say the two that do it the most is Keone and Chaz. They're the ones that can light things up
Yeah.
and just make us feel better, no matter what is going on.
Yeah. And now, as a senior and an international player, and you've guys got a bunch of other international players on the team, do you find that they're coming to you, at the beginning of the year to pick your brains on just sort of, getting used to living on the island?
Yeah, it's a different experience. We actually live on an island, very far away from everything and
Yeah.
everyone. We have our own little community here. Everyone knows almost everyone. We see the same people every other day.
Yeah.
You'll see people that you saw 2 days ago. So it's kind of good that you don't get to see that many people. You kind of create your own circle.
Yeah.
You build your routine. Everything is pretty close. So all things that you go, like the beach is very close, food places are really close. So I think it's kind of good in that sense that you don't have to go very far to find things.
Yeah.
Everything is easily accessible, and there's also a ton of fun things to do, such as going to the beach,
Yeah.
going hiking. So from that perspective, is really really good.
Nice. And now, what does a travel week look like for you guys? So, like Sunday, you guys know, end of the week, you guys are going to be traveling somewhere. What are the practices? Do you guys do film review, and things like that? So, what does a typical, travel week look like for you guys?
Yeah, for us, so we usually when we have league games, we play on Thursdays and Saturdays, or maybe some days Fridays and Saturdays back to back. But if we play on a Thursday, we'll leave Hawaii on Tuesday. We'll fly out wherever we're going.
Yeah.
So because the closest flight we have is a 5.5 hour flight to
Hmm.
California. when our conference plays in California. So we leave here midday, get there about 10 p.m. on Tuesday, and then have that next day to kind of practice and get off our legs, get used to the new gym, and then also start watching film. But Wednesday, it's that kind of day of preparation, practice, and watch film. At the same time, do our study hall and make sure that we take care of what we have in school,
Yeah.
because school doesn't stop.
Nope.
So we have to keep up with that. And then Thursday comes around when it's game day. We'll have our servant pass in the morning, usually 10, 11 a.m. And then go back to the hotel, get recovery with our trainer, eat something good before the game.
Yeah.
And then usually 2 hours, 2.5 2 hours before the game starts, we're in the arena, starting to get our warm-ups in.
Yeah.
And then it's game time.
All right. And now, over the course of the year, are there any, dates circled on that calendar, that you guys, all right, we can't wait for that match, or like, senior night is often a big thing to celebrate.
Yeah, I feel like, every year when we see the scheduling, our brain automatically creates those circles. You're
Yeah.
like, okay, I can't wait for this date and this date. It ends up being more than one date, honestly,
Yeah.
every time. So I was looking forward to games like the Stanford series, and now there's how many other games that I look forward to every other game, honestly, every game, because every game is a unique opportunity to do something new and get better.
Yeah.
But like you said, senior night is a very big one that especially the seniors like myself,
Yeah.
we're really looking forward to. I look forward to the Long Beach series because we play at Long Beach, and our history there hasn't been great
Yeah.
over the past few years. So we're looking to change that,
Nice.
knowing that we also have a chance to play there for the national championship once that time comes around, and provided that we make it. So it'll be a good test for us. But then again, all conference play
Yeah.
is it's exciting.
And then, from when Kupono was on, he was telling me that, the home games, the fans show up. You guys got, they pack the place. What kind of experience is that, coming home and playing in front of the fans?
They definitely show up. Yeah, it's an amazing feeling that I think it might sound crazy, but I don't know where else I can find in the world that same exact type of support and atmosphere. There's many places in the world where they'll pack stadiums, and like Poland or Germany or France, it'll be like that. But I think that Hawaii just has this unique sort of style of supporting its athletes. They were treated so well by people, and it's like a big family. There might be like 9,000 people in the stands, but most of them. It's people that you've seen before, people that you've talked to, people you've taken pictures with. So I don't think that you can kind of find this kind of familiarity anywhere else in the world.
Yeah.
And it was interesting for me, because my freshman year here, we did not have fans at all.
Right.
So the only thing that was in the stand was some cutouts of people, that had
Oh my
put their
God, really?
cutouts in the stands. But going from that to next year, where people started coming more, but now again, because COVID was around, people were more skeptical about coming. And then into last year, where people, we had a sold out games with 10,000 people in the stands. It was just unreal to see, and I'm very, very grateful for the people of Hawaii.
Nice. When the season's over, you're a graduate. What are your plans? Are you gonna, maybe follow Dimi over, play pro in Europe, or do you have other plans?
Yeah, well, the plan for me when I go back home every time in the summer is the same. I'm competing with my senior national team of Greece. Last year we had a chance to play in the European Championship. So kind of the same. There's probably going to be some competition with the national team this summer. So that will be the first thing that I do.
Yeah.
And then the plan is to play professionally. I don't know where yet, because I'm only allowed to talk with teams after I graduate.
Yeah.
So that will be something that I'll worry about after I graduate.
Yep.
But yeah, that's the plan.
Nice.
Try to play professionally.
Any particular country you'd like to, play in?
I don't have a preference. I just want to go somewhere where I know that the conditions are good. I can play and get better. And this is the main thing, honestly. Somewhere that I know there's a good coach and a good support for me to get better.
Yeah. And you talk to Dimi still?
Yeah, we talk, we check in with each other. He's doing great in Germany. He likes
Yeah.
it there. So yeah, he also plays with another Greek guy
Oh, okay.
who's our friend. They're teammates, so we have a whole network of
Nice.
the friends.
All right. So now some sort of questions about the practice and whatnot. What is the one drill you hate the most?
Anything. We do a lot of drills in our practice gym because Coach Milan is big into doing drills. He has his own little routine.
Yeah.
And sometimes these can get quite they can get quite not they can make you tired
Yeah.
because they just require a lot of running and just running back and forth, turning, playing, touching the floor. So I don't hate them,
Yeah.
but these sometimes can, get me to do a good amount of cardio.
That's the second time you talked about cardio. I'm guessing you're not a big cardio fan.
I don't know. I'm not a big runner.
Yeah.
If I go on a run, I'll prefer to do sprints and stuff
Yeah.
rather than that. I don't know. I get bored
Yeah.
running in circles for miles.
Yeah.
So yeah, I prefer to run fast for a couple times than to just run in laps. I'll do it because I have to, in
Right.
my off season. I'll go on runs that are longer than I usually do. But it's sad that I love it.
For that, high school senior that may, watch this pod, what kind of advice would you have for them if they want to play volleyball at that next level?
Yeah, kind of the same that I talked about earlier. It's going to require you to put in a lot of work. No matter how good you are or how much of a big name you are, nothing's gonna, become gifted to you.
Mm-hmm.
Especially in this level in college, you have to work really hard to play. You have to work really hard to get good grades. So I think that kids shouldn't expect, to get things automatically because it happens that they're good in volleyball, right? I think that as long as they realize that the process that there's behind that, and just the action that you're required to take in order if you want to make it become a reality, it takes work.
Yeah.
And that work can sometimes drain you out or just make you tired, but you just gotta keep going.
Yep. And now I had a question from a high school player, and they wanted to know if there's any drills or techniques that you found really effective for improving your hitting accuracy or your hitting power.
I've gotten this question, quite a lot about whether it's hitting or whether it's jumping. I don't have the answer for one specific thing.
Yeah.
Rather than a combination of things. So, I think it definitely takes a lot of time in the practice gym, where, you can go by yourself. And that's the one thing in volleyball that you can maybe do by yourself, where you're just tossing balls and you're trying to hit specific targets,
Yeah.
whether that's in the deep corner or in the sharp angle or down the line. Just getting this repetition so your arm, gets familiar with how you want to hit these balls. And then also make sure that you're putting in the work in the weight room because, no matter how many balls you hit, if your shoulders and your body is not structured in the right way and it's not conditioned in the right way, injuries will start accumulating.
Yeah.
And you don't want that. So you got to make sure that you kind of put in the work on the court and in the weight room so it gives you the best outcomes.
Yep. With this being your senior season, any particular people you'd like to thank during your time at Hawaii?
Oof, so many. I can write a whole list, and I don't want to forget anyone.
Yeah.
But off the top of my mind, first of all, our coaching staff. I wouldn't be here without them. They're the ones that reach out to me, reply to me when I initially reached out. Were interested in bringing me here, and they did everything in their powers to bring me here. I'm really, really appreciative of that. And then literally every teammate that I've had the chance to play with here. I don't want to start naming people because I'm gonna forget someone. So I'm talking about every single guy that have interacted with here, whether they're here still or they left early or they're somewhere else now. Just thank you to them. For making me become a better player, giving me, friendships, and just really, really good times. And then, of course, can't forget about the people of Hawaii that support us like they do. They give us the love that they do and just help us, stay motivated when we're having a bad time or a
Yeah.
difficult time.
All right. And then, what about words or advice for the players that you're handing the torch off to next year? What, any advice for them?
Yeah, the biggest thing honestly is maintaining the culture and the legacy that this program has created. It's something special. This place has something special, and the program is something special that has started with players way before our time. With the most significant player I can think of being Kostas Theoharidis back in the 2000s, who was the first Greek that ever came in Hawaii. He won the national championship in '02. That you know the story. But he and other players were the ones that laid the foundation for the generations to come. And then players like Kupono, and then Rado, Colton, and then Jakob, Tella, and Dimi just have created these expectations that you want to be as best as you can. I feel like that's the main thing, that whoever's here should not settle for anything else other than their best. And this might not always mean a national championship. Sometimes you give your best, but you don't win. But as long as you know that you've given your 100% of your effort and your abilities, that's then all you can ask for.
Yep.
Win will come sometimes, some other times it will not. But as long as you know that you've given it your all, you should be satisfied.
All right. Excellent. And now, what are you going to miss most when you fly off and go back home or back to Europe?
Yeah, definitely the weather. I think, I might end up in a place in Europe where it's snowing all the time or it's very, very cold.
Yeah.
I'm sure that the nostalgia is going to hit me very quick.
Yeah, like
But
Kupono's cousin, Micah, he's over in Russia
yeah,
playing, and Eric
yeah,
Shoji, he's in Poland.
yeah, I know. So I think that's one thing that will have the most immediate effect on
Yeah.
me. And then just I think this sense of community at the same time, where everyone, and you're just having these interactions every day with people that
Yeah.
you've seen before, and you just like and you're good friends with, and this island rhythms, more of a slow down pace here.
Yeah.
We don't do things really fast. We take our time with it.
Nice.
So I think that this will be a big change too.
All right. So now, away from the court, away from classes, what are some of the things you enjoy? I think I saw somewhere you enjoy Formula One.
I do enjoy Formula One. Yeah, it was a hobby of ours, me and Dimi. We used to wake up really early in the morning sometimes to watch the races. I haven't watched this much over the last year or so, the last season. I didn't watch it. I also really enjoy listening and playing music.
Yeah.
I have some friends here that we just a little escape from volleyball.
Nice.
We'll gather together, play some music, and just chill.
Yeah. What do you
And
play?
vibe to some good music. I used to play the drums for a couple of years when I was younger, for about 5-6 years. I lost contact with it after I started playing volleyball, but now I'm slowly trying to get back into it.
Nice.
So it's a good escape for me, when I have some free time.
All right. Well, hey, Spyros, thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it. Good luck
Of
rest
course.
of the season. But before I let you go, though, like other guests, I ask them to shout out somebody who in your volleyball circle, your peer group, that you think would have a good story that should come on the podcast.
Honestly, if you could somehow try to get Coach Milan here,
Yeah.
that would be a long podcast because he loves to talk. It'll probably be about 2.5 hours long. But he has some stories
Oh,
like
I bet.
like no other. He's coached in so many places around the world. He's just such a interesting person to talk to.
All right.
Either that or my teammate Chaz Galloway, who's also and my good friend Chaz, who's also had a long journey in volleyball.
Yeah.
And he's just you could hear his story from his own perspective.
All right.
And then the last one that I could think of right now is my good friend from Long Beach State, Sotiris Siapanis,
Oh, okay.
who is a guy that I grew up playing against in the school championships.
Oh, no way.
And we're really, really good friends now. We just play video games together every other day. And he's also had a really interesting path. He went to Ohio State, been transferred to Long Beach State.
Okay.
He's had an interesting journey so far
Yeah.
in the NCAA. So these are the three people that I
All
can
right.
name off the top of
Perfect.
my head.
All right. I may have to get you to twist some arms, but we'll get them on.
I got you. I'll do it.
All right. Well, hey, thank you again so much, and good luck for you and the rest of the season.
Of course. Thank you for having me.